Hey internet world, I'm back. And with different hair, we're mid-process for changing things up. Because the purple and stuff was fun, but it's time to change it. So, we're going to do something a little different today. Today is not going to be the usual glam makeup review. Today is going to be cosplay makeup and costume makeup, stage makeup, character makeup, that kind of fun stuff. Con season is upon us, which means many people are going to be cosplaying, and some for the first time. And one of the things I've noticed on a bunch of the cosplay groups I'm in is people asking questions about makeup. Because a lot of people who don't normally do makeup, whether it's guys or just girls who don't wear a lot of makeup or who maybe just do very minimal makeup, all of a sudden they want to do a character who requires maybe some elaborate makeup. So I'm going to end up splitting this video up into a couple parts so it's not too long. I also have my tablet next to me because I asked in one of my cosplay groups if anybody had any questions about cosplay makeup that they really wanted me to answer. So this may skew to the side. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do basically how to make yourself a different color without being flat. The colors we're going to be using today, we're going to go mermaidy because I'm me, and I have my Mayron face and body makeup water activated in these colors. So I have light green, teal, and sky blue. I also do, of course, have black and white. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the whole face one uniform color and then bring dimension into it. So, step one, put a straw in your wine glass. I love turtles, but I also love wine. So, I want to be able to drink while I'm doing this, and not using a straw when you're doing your makeup just doesn't make any sense because you're just going to make a mess. So, step one. Step two, get your hair out of the way. Let's see. What else can we talk about while I'm doing that? So, one of the places I've seen this question asked a lot is on a group for cosplaying characters from Critical Role, which I do have hanging out here in the background. You guys can probably see Matt Mercer and his build on the TV. Also, it's really hot here, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to not just sweat through whatever I'm doing. So we're getting the hair up and out of the way. If you're wearing a wig, just keep your natural hair up and out of the way while you do your makeup. Deal with your wig after if you have elaborate hairstyle, unless it's something that's very severe and off the face. Do your hair after. Also, if you're wearing any jewelry as your character, that goes on after, including earrings, and that would include if you're just doing more like a glam makeup style, because you can get your jewelry very, very dirty. So we're going to drop that in the lipstick drawer so I don't lose them. And you want to start with a fresh, clean face. Preferably freshly washed, but we know we don't always have time for that, so I'm just going to go in with a wipe and wipe up the makeup that I was wearing today. I highly recommend using water activated paints over grease paints or cream paints if you need it to last a long time, because they will last longer on the skin and they're not going to smudge off. If you're at a con and you're going to want to be eating, drinking, talking, it's going to be hot, it's going to be sweaty, you're going to be moving around, you're going to be hugging people, you don't want to have to worry about getting green or blue or red all over strangers potentially, or yourself or your costume, because you're going to spend a lot of time working on your actual costume and you don't want to trash it. So water activated paints are my favorite and totally the way to go. This headband's really wide for my head, so it's gonna look a little weird, but I figured I should probably wear the mermaid headband while I do some mermaid face. When your face is clean, step one, moisturize. Doesn't matter if you are a male, female, somewhere in between, undecided, young, old, doesn't matter. Moisturize your face. almost especially if you have any sort of beard or facial hair, because if you dry that skin out with makeup, you're more likely to get ingrown hairs, and the makeup is less likely, is going to sit not as pretty, basically, on dry facial hair areas or just dry skin in general. Use a moisturizer that works for you. Doesn't have to have SPF in it because you're probably going to be inside all day. And just use something that you like. If you have oily skin and you're like, oh, I can't moisturize, I have oily skin, look for a water or gel-based moisturizer. There's some really great ones out there that are gel-based, water-based, and those do not make you greasy. My favorite of those would be the Belief Aqua Balm. It is a gel. It's relatively affordable. It's available at Sephora, Ulta, all those places. So, we're clean, we're moisturized. Next step is you're going to prime. And you're going to prime, again, wherever you fall upon the gender spectrum, you're going to prime. Because again, you want your makeup to last all day, and primers are the best way to do that. I would research a primer that works well for your skin. Today I am using just the Smashbox Photo Focus Foundation Primer. This is going to help, it's a very silicone-y primer, so it's going to help to fill some of my larger pores. So that's where I'm going to start. And kind of just smooth things out. So if you have very dry skin, you want hydrating primer. If you have oily skin, you want mattifying primer. If you have a lot of pores, you want a smoothing, blurring, pore-filling primer. If you're older and you have wrinkles or creases, the moisturizing and priming are also very important so that the makeup, again, sits nice and smooth on the face. You can also always multi-prime. So let's say your nose gets really greasy and has really big pores, but the rest of your face tends to be kind of dry. We'll use a pore-filling primer on the nose and areas where you're greasy, and hydrating primer in the areas where you get dry. Make sense? Yeah. And I would definitely recommend, if you're only using these primers for cosplay purposes, going to Sephora or Ulta and picking up travel size options. They're going to be much more affordable, and then you're not going to waste product, because these guys, this one says it lasts for 24 months once I open it. So if I'm only going to use it 2 or 3 times a year, I don't want a full size one, I just want a little one. Same thing with things like mascara, other beauty makeups. Definitely go for travel size when you can, if you're only using it for cosplay. If you're only wearing mascara, if you're only wearing brow stuff, if you're only using primers or other makeups or lipsticks for your cosplay, try and get a travel size option so that it doesn't go bad and you're not wasting product. Also look into drugstore options. I'm just tossing everything on my coffee table, so we're gonna have a mess back there. Also look into drugstore options, because brands like NYX make some really awesome products that you can use and are much more affordable. I'm gonna take a quick second and just, I got a question on my Facebook post, so I'll be right back. And now I'm back. Cool, so the question that just got asked was how to blend and contour different shades of makeup to create a more dimensional face, which is what we're gonna be doing. So, what I'm gonna do is, we're gonna do teal for the whole face. I'm going to use primarily, and this is more for kind of like illustrating things, the bright green mixed into the teal to highlight, and the blue mixed into the teal to contour. Highlights are anything you want to bring forward or accent, so you do them a brighter or lighter color than the rest of the face. And a contour is anything you want to make recede or create depth and dimension within the face. So in beauty makeup, we contour under the jawline to create that cut there, or under the cheekbone rather, often under the jawline to help with jaw shape, often around the forehead, around just the perimeter to kind of bring the face forward, and then often also along sides of the nose to taper the nose, sometimes under the lower lip right here to make the lower lip look more pouty. And then we will highlight up along the top of the cheekbone, in the center of the forehead, down the center of the nose, on the cupid's bow, tip of the chin, to bring those places forward. You'll also often highlight under the brow bone, under the eye, again, to bring brightness forward. So, I have a few different tools I like to use to apply these to the face. I am going to start with a brush, but I might switch over to using a sponge. There's no reason why you can't use a traditional beauty makeup sponge to apply these types of makeup. Again, look for affordable options. Brands like Eco Tools and Real Techniques make some really great affordable brushes, and I would definitely make sure that you're investing at least a little bit in your brushes and your tools, because a lot of your application will come down to your tools. If you are purchasing extremely inexpensive tools, you may find that your application is splotchy, is messy, is streaky, is not quite how you want it. Also keep in mind that with water activated paints, the more water you add, the more transparent it will be. So over here, there wasn't as much water in the paint, so it's much more opaque. And over here, it is much more transparent. You can see a lot more of my natural skin through. And that's up to you whether you want your skin to show or not. One of the other skills with this is blocking the brows, which I personally don't do very often. I'd rather just color them a different color. But if you do need to make your brows disappear, I highly recommend looking up any tutorial by a drag queen on how to do it. They do it all night, every night, and so they are going to have some really great tips and tricks and suggestions for how to make that happen. All right, we're gonna speed up, and I'm gonna get my face and down onto my neck covered. You always wanna come down onto the neck as you're doing your face so you can make sure everything blends. So I'll be right back. All right, I am teal blue. I still have to do my ears, but I wanted to chat about a couple of things while I do this. So first of all, if I were doing this for real, I would probably not be dressed. I might just have on a sports bra, tube top, no shirt, what have you, just so that I can make sure I blend beyond the edge of my clothing, because nothing shatters an illusion faster than a shirt collar moving and all of a sudden bright pink skin shows through, especially if your skin is supposed to be a very vibrant color or a very dark color. You want to make sure you're blending up into the hairline as well. A nice easy cheat. So a lot of times when you use a brush to apply makeup like this, you can look a little streaky. So I'm gonna just go over my hairline again real quick, and I'm gonna show you how I work with that. So the brush is nice because it's pretty quick, right? Like this didn't take me all that long. All told, again, also keep in mind, these are gonna, makeups like this take some time. It's not gonna be your 5-minute mascara and chapstick out the door. It's gonna take a little bit of time. My nose needs a little more coverage. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of looking at parts of my face that look a little bit more transparent than I want, and just kind of patting some makeup in. And then I'm gonna go in for my beauty sponge, wet it in the bowl of water I already have. Always use beauty sponges wet. They are not meant to perform dry. They do not perform as well dry. If you were using a beauty sponge and you're like, why doesn't this work? I don't get why everybody's obsessed. It's probably because it was dry. So now I'm gonna come through with my sponge, my damp sponge. And it's going to be a little bit of a process of blending and then reapplying and then blending. So you can see I pulled some up there and then reapplying and blending and reapplying and so on. So again, take your time. Know that this is not a speedy process. Also, make sure that any paints you purchase are actually safe for use around the mouth and eyes. Believe it or not, I have seen face paints, body paints that say on them, do not use near eyes or mouth. So just double check that whatever you use is quality. There's a lot of tempting stuff out there on the internet that's really inexpensive, and I would avoid it. Got a weird bald spot on the tip of my nose there. And remember that, again, it's all going to take time. It's going to take time and practice. So even if you feel like you're good at beauty makeup, this is another skill set. This is a different set of things to practice. If you are doing a color that's lighter, like let's say it's going to be more pastel blue, and you have blemishes and things like that, you can absolutely use concealers or color correctors underneath your costume makeup, your character makeup. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good. I'm not too worried about the neck today because, again, I don't want to get stuff on my clothing. If I was doing this in real life, I would make sure, again, I wouldn't be wearing a shirt, and I'd be making sure to blend perfectly on the neck as well, and the ears. And then if you've got a friend, that's helpful because they can get the back of your neck, the back of your head, anything that's going to show. If you are going to be wearing a wig, don't think that you can skip on your hairline on the back of your neck because that wig may shift or move, and then you're going to break the illusion. So that is a layer of teal blue, and you can see I look very flat. So part of the key to adding dimension is using lots of different tools and doing lots of different things to play with your color and your options. So one of the things I do really like the sponges for in costume makeup is adding my highlights and my contours. Because it is damp, I find that it helps blending. So I've got my damp sponge and I've got my blue. And I'm gonna go in and just kind of pat. And then I'm gonna start to build it. I did have a request to show blending in real time. And that is a tricky thing because there are a lot of things that can affect how long it takes you to blend. The colors you're using, the opacity of them, but also your own skill, your skin type, and other things. So I'm using this kind of curvy pointed end to just start kind of building in where I want some darkness on the side of my face. When you bring contour forward, it should never come further forward than the center of your eye. So I'm not going to bring it all the way. Like I'm going to make this little mark. That's as far forward as it would come. And you can do like this. And that's how far forward we're going to go. And right now it looks very harsh. It looks like a harsh line. And that's what it's going to be when I start to just build. And then I'm going to come through with this other end. And a little bit more of the teal. And again, it's going to be playing a game of makeup coming off, makeup going on, makeup coming off, makeup going on. So I'm going to get a few steps in on this one side, and then so you can see it in real time, and then I will go. My green is kind of dirty, so I'm going to use my brush to just kind of try and clean it off a little bit before I go in with the sponge. And I am using same brushes, same sponges. These are water activated paints, so all you need is a little bit of water. I've just got a little dish and a towel. I don't mind getting dirty. For my highlight, I'm going to use the flat side and go into this bright green. And again, I'm just going to kind of start piling on color in the places where I want contour or highlight. A lot of times when you're laying stuff on, it looks a little crazy. I would definitely recommend, if you're new to this and you're using like a stick product, don't just start drawing on your face. You're definitely going to want to use a tool to apply to your face so that you can kind of see what you're doing. So I'm creating a little darkness there. I'm going to want a little darkness around here. So we're just kind of starting to lay in. One of the other things you can do is use black and white to create darker and lighter versions of your color as well. Actually, maybe I'll do that on the other side so you can see both versions. I like to use different shades of the same thing to create my highlights and my contour, or more natural colors, because if this creature existed in real life, there would be different tones. There would be different undertones to the skin, to the face, to the body. And I'm going to try using a dry brush to see how that works with this, just because I'm curious. And that does let me blend stuff a little bit. So this is really exaggerated, but you can see contour, highlight, contour, contour. So I am gonna go and get this really beautifully blended in. It takes time, honestly. I don't want to make this video a million miles long by sitting here and blending it all in front of you guys. We'll do a little bit more. I'm just adding in some highlight and some contour. Think about like the shape of the face that you want to have. If you have a more masculine face shape and you are cosplaying someone who would have a more feminine face shape, again, those drag queens, man, they know what they're doing. If you have a more feminine face shape and you're cosplaying more masculine character, think about that as well and how you would make that work. Okay, so I'm coming back in with this teal and laying this back over some of the places where I have my contour and my highlight shades. So again, that's one of the nice things about the water activated paints, is that you can use different tones and things. I think I'm missing something ridiculous right now. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
I'll approach the guy I can see burning on fire. Is there that's where the front door is, right? Yeah. Is he in front of the front door?
Actually, he's like right in
So you can see too, just looking at the two sides of my face, the side has no dimension and the side is starting to gain some dimension. I'm a huge fan of a very highly accented cheekbone, so I tend to focus on that quite a bit and really really build
Spin and fall. I'm gonna go ahead and
to create that effect.
see which direction it's gonna play.
But if that's not your thing,
Inward would be
don't do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 6. So it plummets down, hits the ceiling, scrapes off, and stays down on the hinge.
More teal.
The dexterity saving throw. Well, that is a 7 plus 4. No, that's an 11. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll 48, please.
Wicked bitch. This is Dr. Conley who's driving not
I think so. Oh, no, sorry, no, he's over here. This guy's on fire from over earlier. Right, yeah.
Okay. So you can see now on this side, I have dimension, right? And looking even just straight on or off the side, you can see there's more shadow here. This area looks brighter. There's a little bit of shadow here. I'm going to go off and do the other side. I'm going to make a separate video where I'm going to use black and white, because I feel like if you're going to buy 3 paints anyway, get 3 tones so that you can create more natural look. Because when you look at a human being, right, and you look at how shadow and darkness and light affect our skin, it's not just adding black and white, it's adding depth of tone or brightness of tone. So I think that using some different colors and different shades over just black and white gives you better effect. So I'm going to go and do the other side, and I'll be back. I'm back. We have some dimension to the face, and this isn't even my final form. So this is all just laying things down to begin with. I am having some issues with paint sticking to my nose because it is so hot here right now, and my nose is very oily. So I am having a little bit of a struggle in my oily spots with my paint sticking, but it's just kind of how my struggle goes. So, one more contouring thing before we move on to another section. That's gonna be another video. Contouring the nose. So, beauty gurus do it all the time. Drag queens do it all the time. How do you contour your nose? Basically, the idea is you start off with 2 vertical lines that come down from wherever the beginning of your eyebrows or your brow bone would be. And the closer they are together, the smaller and more tapered the nose looks. The further they are apart, the wider the nose looks. So if I wanted to have a more tapered looking nose, I'm actually going to grab an eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to go into my contour color to create these lines because I want to create shadow. And I'm going to make 2 lines down the nose.
You know what? It's not like we move through a space in there as much twice, so I'll say yes, you can move it through. Only
So it's kind of, you don't really see it strongly right now. I'm going to try and make it as dark as I can so you can see it. Probably darker than I would normally. You can also bring your contour in from this area, in from where your brow bone is and your brow is, to again create dimension. And it's all about creating illusion. If you do have a more masculine nose that you need to make look more feminine, you're going to do the lines closer. If you have a more petite feminine nose that you want to look more masculine or more broad for whatever breed of creature you're doing, so if you're doing more like an ogre or something like that, you would do your lines further apart, and then to make the tip look pointy, I'm coming down with a little V. So it's super like not blended right now, but look at how long and straight and skinny my nose looks. And the other thing you can do is add highlight onto the sides so they blend in with the rest of the face. So same brush, I'm just gonna dip it And you're also going to do highlight down the bridge. So I'm going to go into my green. And again, I'm not blending this yet because I want you to be able to see all the things. So I'm going to come into my green. I'm going to start actually high up. And just pull straight down. And then I'm going to add a straight line there. And a straight line here. And you can even get your nostrils a little bit if you want to. Again, drag queens are really good at this. They are an amazing resource for many wonderful fountains of knowledge, not the least of which being contouring. So, darkness, light. And then I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to kind of dip it and try and, ooh, I'm making a mess. I just cleaned my desk and now it's all colored again. Such is life. So I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to follow the shape that I want. So I'm going to kind of go up and down and up and down to blend. And right now, it took all my paint. The struggle is real when it's hot and sweaty and your paint isn't drying or sitting to your face. So I'm just kind of blending, adding, covering, blending, adding, covering as I go. Make faces as needed, switch tools as needed. I think that right now the brush is my friend because my skin. And I am trying to do as much of this in real time as I can. I did have a request to make things in real time or add a timer. I do all of my editing, actually I'm filming with my cell phone since I don't have a laptop at the moment. So I can't add a timer. Okay. So I'm going to come in with a little bit on the brush of the blue again. And a lot of contouring and shading. It's just taking your time. Back and forth, taking your time. Okay. So that is the base laid down. All I have on my face right now are these water activated paints. It creates a really great base, but it still looks very flat and artificial. What's going to start to add more dimension is going to be now going in with powders. And I'm actually going to use eyeshadows. Because if you want an off-color powder, they're the best way to go. So, that's going to be part two. Part two, which will probably be uploaded shortly after this part, because I'm just going to sit there on my phone and edit them while I watch Critical World and drink wine. Ooh, I have wine. See, this is why we need the straw. No problems. Part two is going to be adding powder contours on top of this. So I'm going to let this all dry. I'm going to sit in front of a fan. Hopefully it all stays on my face because it's real hot. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.